Today is Thursday, May 22nd. We're talking about a shooting in Washington, D.C. that's now being called an act of antisemitic terrorism. Also, another tense Oval Office confrontation, this time between President Trump and his South African counterpart. And the Trump administration officially accepted that controversial megajet from Qatar in the face of security and ethics questions. Plus, where a rare storm is headed today, who's getting exclusive access to President Trump by buying his memecoin, what to know about a major new theme park that could rival Disney World. Those stories and even more news to know today, next. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. We start with a shooting in the nation's capital that's believed to be motivated by anti-Semitism. 2 Israeli embassy employees were shot and killed last night as they were coming out of the Capitol Jewish Museum in Washington, D.C. The Israeli ambassador to the U.S. told reporters the victims were a young couple about to become engaged. Authorities say the shooter was quickly detained, and while in custody, he chanted, "Free Palestine." People inside the museum told the AP they were attending an event about humanitarian aid meant to help both the people in Gaza and the people in Israel. Just last week, the museum was awarded $500,000 to increase its security. Now American and Israeli officials are expressing outrage and offering their condolences for the families of the victims. The FBI is investigating. By the way, this came the same day Israel's military fired warning shots at foreign diplomats in the occupied West Bank. Delegations from more than 20 countries, including the UK, France, Canada, and others, were on an official mission when Israeli soldiers opened fire. The military says the delegation entered an area where they weren't authorized to be and that the soldiers only wanted to steer them away by firing in the air. And it, quote, regrets the inconvenience caused. No one was hurt. But at least one UN leader said it was an example of excessive force that's deployed too frequently in the West Bank. Israel has promised to investigate. President Trump had a tense back and forth with another foreign leader in the Oval Office. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa said he came to Washington, D.C. hoping for a reset in relations with the U.S. But when television cameras started rolling, Trump confronted him about whether white South Africans are the victims of a possible genocide. And he suggested Ramaphosa's government wasn't doing enough to protect them, just a week after dozens of Afrikaner refugees arrived in the U.S. Ramaphosa actually helped negotiate the end of apartheid and establish South Africa's democracy in the 1990s. And before yesterday's meeting, he said he wanted to correct Trump's view about what's happening in South Africa. He pointed out how, in fact, Black people are still murdered at higher rates than white people there. And while there have been murders of white farmers, there's no evidence of it amounting to a genocide. In the Oval Office, Trump showed a video of an opposition politician specifically calling for violence against white farmers. But Ramaphosa said his government's policy is completely against what one extremist politician was saying. Yesterday's meeting wasn't all tense, though. Trump and Ramaphosa also spoke about trade, the upcoming G20 meeting, and about elite golfers from South Africa. Trump's South Africa-born advisor Elon Musk was also at the White House for the visit, but he did not speak, and Trump said he did not want to get him involved. The Pentagon has formally accepted a luxury jet from Qatar. President Trump has called the Boeing 747 a flying palace, and he's been eyeing it to replace Air Force One. This, despite the fact that lawmakers from both parties, national security experts, and legal scholars have scrutinized this arrangement, with many saying there's no way a $400 million plane is just being gifted without any strings attached. Some have even denounced it as a bribe and pointed out how the Constitution says federal officials cannot accept gifts from foreign governments without lawmakers' approval. President Trump has defended the arrangement, though, as a way to save tax dollars. But the plane does require extensive security, safety, and technical renovations for it to be used as Air Force One. And reports say those renovations could cost taxpayers more than $1 billion. Meanwhile, Boeing is already constructing a new presidential plane, and it's on track to be finished by 2027. At that point, President Trump says the Qatari jet will be transferred to the Trump Presidential Library. The Trump administration is backing away from efforts designed to reform local law enforcement. It's dropping agreements already reached and will close pending civil rights investigations for nearly 24 police departments. The departments were all accused of civil rights violations, sometimes because of notable police violence against Black people. For example, George Floyd's murder in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and the shooting that killed Breonna Taylor in Louisville, Kentucky. Trump officials are also looking into about a dozen other federal oversight arrangements already in place with cities like Ferguson, Missouri, Baltimore, Maryland, and Cleveland, Ohio. The arrangements are sometimes known as consent decrees. They set requirements for how police officers should be trained and disciplined, with an outside monitor and a judge to make sure departments comply. But the Trump White House says those arrangements are examples of the federal government overreaching when reforms should be handled locally. It also says they're expensive and last too long, so it's ending them. Granted, in Minneapolis and Louisville, officials say they'll be going ahead with the overhaul measures promised in their agreements, even without that federal oversight. Lawmakers are saying goodbye to a powerful Democrat who died yesterday. Congressman Jerry Connelly was the top Democrat on the Oversight Committee. He was known for his advocacy of federal workers and as an environmental champion. But he's been battling esophageal cancer. And just last month, he announced he would not be running for re-election. Connelly is now the third House Democrat to die in office in just the last few months. Voters are set to pick their successors in elections later this year. In the meantime, Republicans now hold a 220 to 212 majority in the House. A nor'easter is in the forecast for New England today, which is very unusual for May. Nor'easters typically arrive at the end of fall and winter. They bring high winds, rough seas, and rain, or sometimes snow. This week, this nor'easter could bring 40-mile-an-hour wind gusts, up to 2 inches of rain, and at the highest elevations, even some snow. The good news, though, is no catastrophic flooding or serious damage is expected. Meteorologists expect the biggest impacts to be just rain, mostly in Rhode Island and Massachusetts. Then things should mostly clear up before the weekend, and the sun should be out on Memorial Day. More news still coming up, but first, thanks to our sponsor, Skiims. As a mom and someone who works from home, I always appreciate high-quality tees. They are a wardrobe essential for me. I love them because I can dress them up or down and feel confident and comfortable no matter what I'm doing. But finding that perfect fit and feel can be a challenge. And yet, Skiims seems to hit the mark every time. You've heard me talk about Skiims tees before because I love them, and now my most recent get is the cotton jersey long sleeve t-shirt. I wore it the other day, and once again, I get the hype. There are so many dupes online, but nothing compares to the real thing. Other long sleeves ride up or bunch at the waist, but this one stays put. And as always, Skiims comes through with how the tee feels flattering on, and it just has a great fit and quality overall. I still wear their short sleeve tees all the time. See for yourself when you shop Skiims t-shirt shop at skims.com. After you place your order, be sure to let them know we sent you, select podcast in the survey, and be sure to select our show, The Newsworthy, in the drop-down menu that follows. Now back to the news. The highly anticipated Make America Healthy Again report is coming out today. It's the review President Trump promised that analyzes the effects an American lifestyle might have on childhood diseases. It's expected to call for more study into the CDC's childhood vaccine schedule. It's grown to 12 recommended shots for infants, up from just 3 in the 1980s. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy has in the past questioned whether that could be feeding into childhood chronic disease. But many public health specialists say the additions just mean children are now better protected. And they point out how the vaccines today use fewer antigens than the older ones. The report is also expected to call for larger clinical trials of childhood vaccines against placebos. Plus, it's expected to scrutinize screen time and ultra-processed foods, call for more nutrition research, and more. A White House spokesperson called the report a historic step, but did not share any more details. So, to be continued. It was another day of tense hearings on Capitol Hill, with one of the most heated featuring EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin. He came under bipartisan criticism over his agency's actions to cancel billions of dollars in spending. That spending was approved by Congress to address pollution in minority communities and jumpstart clean energy programs around the country. Many lawmakers say by ending it, the Trump administration is hurting American communities. Or as one lawmaker told Zeldin, quote, "Your legacy will be more cancer." But Zeldin defended the EPA, saying that he and his colleagues have been working hard to identify waste and abuse, hoping to save taxpayers' money. He also acknowledged that some grants or projects might be restored if certain language about environmental justice or diversity is changed, so that they align with President Trump's policies. But overall, the Trump administration is sticking with its proposal of cutting the EPA's budget by 55%. Tonight, President Trump is holding an exclusive cryptocurrency dinner. This gala will host the top 220 holders of the Trump memecoin. And the top 25 holders are invited to an ultra-exclusive VIP reception with the president. News that holding the memecoin would get you access to Trump himself set off a frenzy of buying. Since the dinner was announced, the price of the Trump meme coin went up about 30%. Government watchdog groups have condemned this dinner, though, saying it could violate the rules that say officials cannot solicit gifts. They've raised even more concerns since the Wall Street Journal reported that many people attending the VIP reception will be foreigners. But the White House responded, saying, quote, President Trump only acts in the best interests of the American public, which is why they overwhelmingly reelected him to this office. Other officials also denied any conflict of interest, saying the crypto dinner is an outside business engagement, not an official White House event. America's first major new theme park in more than 20 years is opening today. It's called Universal Orlando's Epic Universe. And NBC Universal says it's the most technologically advanced theme park ever. It's also considered one of the most sustainable. It cost an estimated $7.7 billion and took more than 6 years to build in Orlando, Florida. It includes 5 distinct worlds. There's Celestial Park, dedicated to the heavens, stars, and constellations, plus a new Harry Potter world, Super Nintendo world, How to Train Your Dragon world, and the so-called Dark Universe, where classic movie monsters like Dracula and Frankenstein's monster roam free. Analysts think Epic Universe will attract millions of people and could pose a big threat to Disney World nearby. The grand opening will be live-streamed this morning. That's it for the main news today, so now it's time for Thing to Know Thursday. But first, this episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. I think the world is a better place when people are healthy and happy. And not just for those people, but also for how they treat others at home, at work, and inside their communities. And it's why I think it's important that people know it's okay, even necessary, to get the support they need to feel good about themselves and about their lives. We've come a long way in terms of people knowing therapy is helpful and normal, and there's less of a stigma today than there used to be. So I hope that trend continues. I know from personal experience that therapy can help for a variety of reasons. Without therapy, I was probably faster to react to somebody in a negative way, or I was faster to burn out, which then affected my work. The list goes on. And now I have more skills to handle all sorts of situations better. If you want to give therapy a try, BetterHelp is an option that is fully online with over 10 years of experience matching people with therapists. And you can switch therapists at any time to find the one that's right for you. We're all better with help. Visit betterhelp.com/newsworthy to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/newsworthy. Now back to Thing to Know Thursday. So dozens of Memorial Day weekend sales are already live, and experts tell NBC News they suggest taking advantage. And that's because many retailers like Walmart and brands like Nike have warned that price hikes are coming as tariffs take effect and their warehouse inventory shrinks. In other words, this weekend could be your best chance to save for a while. But not all sales are actually good deals. Experts recommend focusing on seasonal and big-ticket items, especially those that rarely go on sale any other time. For example, patio furniture, outdoor gear, and grills. Then there are the sales you can probably skip. For example, back-to-school supplies, including laptops and tablets that are expected to get cheaper later this summer. Speaking of Memorial Day sales, a quick note that you can buy the Newsworthy merch on sale right now and through the weekend. Support the show and have a great conversation starter about podcasts that you listen to through t-shirts, hats, mugs, magnets, and more. Check it out and get your merch on sale right now at thenewsworthy.com/merch. Thank you so much for listening today and every day. We'll catch you up on more news to know tomorrow. Until then, have a great day.